In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, humanity had always wondered if we were alone. That question was answered on a rainy Tuesday morning when massive ships appeared in our skies. But what happened next wasn't the invasion everyone feared. It was something far more unexpected. The aliens, as it turned out, were representatives of the Galactic Council, a coalition of advanced civilizations that had been watching Earth for centuries. They arrived not with weapons, but with clipboards and stern expressions. Earth, they declared, was an emerging civilization that needed to be properly guided into the galactic community. At first, their arrival seemed like humanity's golden ticket to the stars. They offered us technology, knowledge, and access to their vast trading networks. But there was a catch. They wanted to manage our development. Their first decree? Humans were to be restricted to Earth and our solar system for the next 500 years, until we could prove ourselves mature enough to join their ranks. Sarah Chen, Earth's hastily appointed ambassador to the Council, sat through countless meetings where alien diplomats discussed humanity's future as if we weren't even in the room. The patronizing way they referred to us as the young species made her blood boil, but she maintained her diplomatic smile. Behind that smile, though, a plan was forming. The Council had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated human ingenuity and our fierce independence. While they were busy drafting regulations about Earth's controlled development, they failed to notice the quiet collaboration happening between Earth's nations. For the first time in history, humanity united under a single cause, proving these pompous aliens wrong. In their arrogance, the Council had revealed more than they intended. Through careful observation and clever questioning, Sarah and her team discovered fascinating details about galactic politics. It seemed the mighty Council wasn't as unified as they pretended to be. There were cracks in their alliance, whispers of dissent, and most importantly, they had rules they couldn't break. Deep in a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Earth's brightest minds worked tirelessly. They weren't developing weapons or planning a rebellion. No, humanity had something far more devastating in mind. We were going to beat them at their own game. The Council had given us access to their legal archives, thinking we'd be overwhelmed by their complexity. Instead, a team of Earth's best lawyers began dissecting every statute, every regulation, and every loophole in galactic law. What they found hidden in those ancient texts would change everything. As Sarah stood before the Council 6 months later, clutching a data pad containing humanity's response to their guidance program, she couldn't help but smile. The expressions on the aliens' faces, all 4, 6, or 8 of them, were about to become very interesting. Honorable members of the Council, she began, her voice steady and clear in the grand chamber. Earth has prepared a formal response to your proposed oversight program. But before I present it, I should warn you, you might want to call your legal teams. The head counselor, a tall being with iridescent scales, leaned forward with an amused expression. Oh, and why would we need to do that, young ambassador? Sarah took a deep breath, thinking of the thousands of hours of work that had led to this moment. Within the data pad she held was a document that would either change humanity's future forever or create the biggest diplomatic crisis the galaxy had ever seen. Either way, Earth wasn't going to sit quietly and accept being treated like a child playing with toys. Because, she replied, allowing herself a small grin, we found something in your own laws that you seem to have forgotten about. And after what I'm about to show you, I don't think you'll be calling us young anymore. The Council chamber erupted in murmurs as Sarah activated her data pad's holographic display. The projection showed ancient galactic legal texts, with key passages highlighted in glowing blue. Her team had discovered something remarkable, the original founding charter of the Galactic Council itself. According to Article 7, Section 12 of your founding charter, Sarah continued, her voice echoing through the suddenly silent chamber, any species that achieves faster than light travel independently, without external assistance, automatically qualifies for full Council membership. There's no waiting period, no oversight program, and no restrictions. The head counselor's scales shifted from iridescent to a deep purple. But your species hasn't achieved FTL travel, they said dismissively, though there was a hint of uncertainty in their voice. Sarah's smile widened. Actually, we have. 3 months ago, to be exact. We've been keeping it quiet while we studied your laws. She gestured, and the hologram changed to show technical specifications and test flight data. The Chen Patel Drive, named after my grandmother and her research partner. It's completely different from your standard warp technology. The data scrolling across the hologram told the story of humanity's greatest achievement. While the Council had been focused on monitoring our official space programs, they'd missed the small team of scientists working in an abandoned salt mine in Kansas. Using principles of quantum entanglement and dark energy manipulation, they'd found a completely new way to bend space-time. The Council members began talking all at once, their universal translators struggling to keep up with their agitated discussions. Sarah waited patiently, remembering the late nights spent with her team, checking and double-checking every detail of their plan. They couldn't afford any mistakes. "This is unprecedented," declared a counselor with crystalline features that chimed when they moved. "The charter was written billions of years ago when the galaxy was young. Surely you can't expect us to follow your own laws." Sarah interrupted politely. "That's exactly what we expect. Unless, of course, you're suggesting that the Galactic Council considers itself above its own founding principles." The chamber grew so quiet you could hear the soft humming of the environmental systems. Sarah had just played their trump card. The Council's authority rested on their reputation for absolute adherence to galactic law. If they denied Earth's claim, they would undermine their own legitimacy. But Sarah wasn't finished. She gestured again, and the hologram changed to show something that made several council members physically recoil. A list of other emerging civilizations that had been placed under similar restrictions over the millennia. Some had been kept in technological stasis for thousands of years, their development artificially stunted by council guidance. "We've prepared a detailed report on the council's historical pattern of suppressing potential competitor species," Sarah continued, her voice steel wrapped in silk. "We're willing to keep this information confidential, of course assuming we can reach a reasonable agreement about Earth's status." The head counselor's scales had turned almost black. "You're threatening us with blackmail." "Not at all," Sarah replied smoothly. "We're simply being transparent about our research findings. Transparency is one of the Council's founding principles, isn't it? Article 1, Section 3, if I remember correctly." As the Council members huddled together in urgent discussion, Sarah thought about all the other surprises hidden in her data pad. The Chen Patel Drive wasn't humanity's only breakthrough. While the Council had been watching our official channels, underground labs around the world had been reverse engineering every piece of alien technology they could get their hands on. The Council thought they were dealing with simple primitives who would be grateful for any scraps of advanced technology. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Sarah touched her earpiece, knowing that back on Earth, everything was ready for Phase 2 of humanity's plan. The Council's private deliberations dragged on for hours, but Sarah stood her ground, showing no sign of fatigue. She knew that every minute they spent arguing was another minute for Earth's plan to unfold. Across the solar system, hidden facilities were powering up, ready to demonstrate that humanity's FTL drive was just the beginning of our technological revolution. A subtle vibration in her earpiece told her that the quantum communication network was active. Unlike the Council's standard faster-than-light communications, which could be monitored and intercepted, Earth's quantum network was completely secure and instantaneous. Dr. Patel's voice came through clearly. "Operation Checkmate is ready. All stations report green." The Council finally emerged from their huddle, their various expressions ranging from resigned to outright hostile. The head counselor spoke, their scales now a mottled mix of purple and black. "We have reviewed your evidence, Ambassador Chen. While the Charter's provisions are clear, surely we can reach some compromise that." A loud alarm cut through the chamber, causing several council members to jump. The massive holographic displays that lined the walls suddenly activated, showing real-time footage from across the solar system. The Council watched in stunned silence as hundreds of hidden human facilities decloaked simultaneously, revealing technology that shouldn't have been possible for a young species. "What you're seeing," Sarah explained calmly, is just a small demonstration of what humanity has achieved while under your observation. Those facilities aren't just research centers. They're fully operational shipyards. And yes, before you ask, every ship is equipped with our version of your precious FTL drive. The crystalline counselor chimed in agitation. This is impossible. Our monitoring systems. We're only detecting what we wanted them to detect, Sarah interrupted. Did you really think we wouldn't notice the quantum variance patterns in your scanning technology? It took us less than a month to figure out how to fool them. More alarms began to sound as the Council's systems detected additional human activities throughout the solar system. The massive shipyard orbiting Jupiter's moon, Europa, began launching vessels, each one more advanced than anything the Council had shown us. Around Mars, massive defense platforms emerged from their hiding spots in the asteroid belt. This is an act of war, shouted one of the counselors, their bioluminescent appendages flashing in anger. Sarah shook her head, still maintaining her diplomatic smile. Actually, it's not. We've studied your military protocols extensively. Everything we're doing falls within the legal rights of a civilization, demonstrating its qualifications for council membership. Article 15, Section 9 specifically allows for a comprehensive demonstration of technological capabilities. The head counselor slumped in their seat, their scales fading to a dull gray. You've been planning this since the moment we arrived, haven't you? Longer, actually, Sarah replied. We detected your observation posts in the Kuiper Belt years ago. We just waited for you to make official contact. She paused, then added, by the way, those weren't very well hidden. Just then, her earpiece vibrated again, the signal she'd been waiting for. Sarah took a deep breath, knowing that what came next would either secure humanity's place among the stars or plunge Earth into an interstellar crisis. She touched her data pad one final time, bringing up the last set of documents her team had prepared. Now, she said, her voice carrying an edge of steel, shall we discuss the real reason you've been keeping emerging civilizations under control? The secret that's hidden in the unexplored regions of the galaxy, the one your own citizens don't even know about. The council chamber went deathly quiet as the color drained from every alien face. They'd thought they were dealing with primitive upstarts. Instead, they'd found themselves facing an opponent who had uncovered their deepest, darkest secret. Sarah tapped her data pad once more, and the chamber's holographic displays shifted to show a region of space far beyond the council's officially claimed territory. The images revealed massive structures floating in the void, ancient artifacts that dwarfed even the largest council installations. The precursor archives, Sarah said quietly. The real reason you've been suppressing technological advancement in younger species. You're not just afraid of competition. You're afraid someone will figure out how to access them before you do. The head counselor rose abruptly, their scales now pulsing with patterns Sarah's experts hadn't seen before. This discussion is over. Guards. I wouldn't, Sarah warned. The moment anyone moves against me, the data about the archives goes public across every communication channel in council space. Your own citizens will learn that you've spent millennia hoarding technology you barely understand, all while claiming technological superiority. But Sarah's revelation had an unexpected effect. Instead of more anger or denial, several council members exchanged knowing looks. The crystalline counselor let out a sound like chiming bells, their species equivalent of laughter. "Oh, young ambassador," they said, their crystals reflecting rainbow patterns across the chamber. "You've done exceptionally well, but you've only uncovered half the truth. Why do you think we've been so desperate to keep species away from the archives?" The head counselor raised a hand, silencing their colleague. But it was too late. Sarah's trained diplomatic eye had caught something in their reactions. There was fear there, yes, but not the kind she'd expected. This wasn't the fear of being exposed. This was deeper, more primal. Her earpiece vibrated urgently. Dr. Patel's voice came through tense and excited. "Sarah, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the archive sites. They're responding to our quantum network somehow. Something's happening." The chamber's displays began flickering with new data. The ancient structures were awakening, their dormant systems lighting up one by one. Sarah watched in fascination as patterns of energy, danced across their surfaces, patterns that looked eerily similar to the quantum signatures of Earth's FTL drive. "You didn't just find a new way to travel through space," the head counselor said quietly. "You accidentally discovered their control key, the precursor's quantum frequency, the one thing we've spent thousands of years trying to keep dormant." The crystalline counselor's chimes had taken on a worried tone. "They'll know now. They'll all know." "Who?" Sarah demanded, her diplomatic composure cracking slightly. This wasn't part of their plan. None of their intelligence had suggested anything like this. The chamber's lights suddenly dimmed as power fluctuations rippled through the station. On the displays, the arc of structures were now fully awake, their enormous forms pulsing with energy that defied the laws of physics as humanity understood them. "The ones who built the archives," the head counselor said, their scales now completely black. "The ones who vanished eons ago, leaving behind technology we couldn't begin to comprehend. We didn't suppress young species to keep them from competing with us, Ambassador Chen. We did it to keep them from accidentally doing exactly what you just did." Sarah's earpiece was now flooded with urgent reports from Earth's facilities across the solar system. The quantum network was picking up signals unlike anything they'd ever seen, coming from deep space. Dr. Patel's voice cut through the chaos. "Sarah, whatever those archives are, they're calling something, and it's answering." The head counselor looked at Sarah with an expression that mixed pity with genuine fear. "Congratulations, humanity. You've just announced your presence to the original owners of the galaxy. And trust me, they aren't nearly as diplomatic as we are." The council chamber erupted into chaos as new alerts blared through the station. The massive displays showed thousands of unknown objects emerging from what appeared to be quantum ruptures in space, tears in reality that shouldn't have been possible. But Sarah noticed something odd about the patterns of their emergence. "They're not random," she said suddenly, her years of pattern recognition training kicking in. "These ruptures, they're forming a barrier around our solar system, not an invasion force, a defensive line." The head counselor froze mid-sentence, their scales shifting to a color Sarah hadn't seen before. The crystalline counselor's chimes became discordant as they analyzed the data. "Impossible. They're not attacking. They're protecting." Dr. Patel's voice came through Sarah's earpiece, excitement breaking through his usual calm. "Sarah, we've decoded part of the quantum signals. You need to see this immediately." New data flowed across her pad, and as she read it, a smile slowly spread across her face. "You never fully translated the archive records, did you?" she asked the council. "You saw what you expected to see, warnings about ancient, vengeful beings, but that's not what they really said." She stood straighter, confidence returning to her voice. "The precursors didn't vanish. They didn't abandon the galaxy. They were waiting." The displays shifted again, showing new data streaming from the activated archives. The quantum signatures weren't a warning. They were a recognition pattern. The Chen Patel drive hadn't just copied some ancient technology. It had independently recreated the precursor's fundamental understanding of spacetime. "They left the archives as a test," Sarah continued, understanding flooding through her. "Not to measure technological advancement, but to see which species would develop the same insights they had, naturally, without copying or stealing. They wanted to find civilizations that thought like they did." The objects surrounding the solar system were now clearly visible, ships of impossible configuration, their designs suggesting technology so advanced it bordered on magic. But they made no aggressive moves. Instead, they began transmitting data, vast libraries of knowledge, freely given. "Your fear made you misunderstand their intentions," Sarah told the stunned council. "You thought they would punish advancement, so you stifled it wherever you found it. But they were looking for equals, not servants, and humanity just passed their test." The head counselor slumped in their seat. "All this time, we thought we were protecting the galaxy." "You were doing exactly what they expected the unready would do," Sarah replied, but her tone was gentle. "Fear of the unknown, fear of losing control. They used that fear to identify which civilizations needed more time to mature." A new signal cut through all others. A direct transmission from the largest of the precursor vessels. The message was simple, encoded in the same quantum frequency that humanity had discovered. Welcome, children of Earth. You have found your own path as we hoped you would. Now, shall we show you what lies beyond the stars you can see? But just as victory seemed complete, Dr. Patel's voice came through again, this time tense with concern. Sarah, we're detecting new quantum signatures, different from the precursors. Something else was watching, something that's been waiting for this moment. And they're not forming defensive lines. They're approaching Earth directly. The head counselor's scales turned white, a color Sarah had never seen before. No, it can't be. The others? They're supposed to be just a myth. Sarah looked at the new data flooding her pad, her mind racing. Humanity had just proved itself worthy of joining the precursors. But it seemed the galaxy held more secrets than even they had known. And now Earth was about to be caught in the middle of a conflict that had been silent for millions of years. The chamber's displays showed the new arrivals more clearly now. Their ships were darker than the space around them, moving in ways that defied physics itself. The precursor vessels were already moving to intercept, but Sarah knew with crushing certainty this wasn't the end of humanity's trial. It was just the beginning. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity as Earth's defenses mobilized alongside their new precursor allies, the dark ships, which the precursor data identified as the Void Collective, beings from another dimension who had been waiting for someone to unlock the archives, took up attack positions around the solar system. Sarah stood in the council chamber, now transformed into a joint command center, watching as humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. But something about the situation nagged at her tactical mind. The Void Collective's formation was familiar somehow. "Wait," she said suddenly, studying the enemy patterns. "Look at how they're positioning themselves. It's exactly like our quantum network nodes." She turned to the precursor representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline form. "They're not attacking. They're trying to communicate." The precursor's form pulsed with approval. "You see it, just as we hoped you would." The council feared what they didn't understand for so long that they never noticed the pattern. The Void Collective isn't our enemy. They're our long-lost other half. Understanding dawned on the council members' faces as the truth became clear. Eons ago, the precursors hadn't just vanished. They'd split themselves across dimensions, leaving the archives as a bridge. They were waiting for a species that could understand both realities, that could help reconnect what was separated. "Your quantum drive," the precursor explained, "operates on principles that bridge our dimension and theirs. You didn't just rediscover our technology. You found a new way to unite the divided halves of existence." The dark ships suddenly shifted, their threatening appearance melting away to reveal forms of breathtaking beauty, mirrors of the precursor vessels, but composed of energy patterns humans had never imagined possible. The two fleets merged in a dance of light and shadow, celebrating a reunion billions of years in the making. The head counselor, their scales now shimmering with a rainbow of emotions, turned to Sarah. "We were so wrong about everything. The galaxy needs humanity's perspective, your ability to see possibilities where we saw only threats." Sarah smiled, but her expression remained serious. "The real work starts now. Earth's advancement can't be hidden anymore. But we don't want to dominate. We want to collaborate. The Council has centuries of experience maintaining peace among different species. We'll need that wisdom more than ever." The precursor and their void counterpart approached Sarah together, their combined presence filling the chamber with patterns of energy that made the air itself sing. "Humanity will help guide the galaxy into a new age," they said in unison, "not through conquest or control, but through understanding and innovation. The Council will learn to trust, younger species will be free to grow, and the dimensions themselves will be bridged anew." Dr. Patel's voice came through Sarah's earpiece one final time. "The quantum network is adapting, incorporating the new patterns. Sarah, the things we're going to be able to achieve." Sarah looked out at the assembled beings, council members, precursors, and void entities all waiting expectantly. Humanity's first steps into the galaxy had been bold, perhaps even reckless, but those same qualities had broken down barriers that had stood for billions of years. "Well," she said, allowing herself a small grin, I guess we should start drafting some new articles for the Council Charter. After all, we're going to need guidelines for cross-dimensional travel. The chamber filled with various sounds of amusement, chimes, pulses, and even some very human laughter. As Sarah began the monumental task of helping reshape galactic civilization, she couldn't help but think that somewhere, her grandmother was smiling. Humanity had reached for the stars and found not just new horizons, but a way to unite the very fabric of reality itself. Who knew what we'd discover next?